Listen carefully. This is not a coincidence. You did not stumble upon this message by accident. There is something within you, something ancient, something powerful that has been waiting to be recognized, waiting to be activated. The time of silence is over. The time of hesitation has passed. You have been called, set apart, chosen for a divine purpose, and the world will not wait for you to be ready. For too long, you have walked this earth believing you are just another person, another soul passing through time, another name among billions. But deep down, something within you has always known otherwise. Have you ever felt different, as if you didn't fully belong in this world? Have you sensed a force guiding you, moments where you knew something greater was at work? Have you faced opposition that seemed too calculated, struggles that felt too precise, resistance that seemed designed specifically to break you? These were not random events. They were not mere coincidences. They were signs. You have been in a battle long before you even realized it. The forces of darkness recognized your identity before you did. They have done everything in their power to keep you blind to your strength, to keep you bound in fear, to keep you distracted by the noise of this world so that you never wake up to the truth. Because the truth is dangerous. The truth shatters illusions. The truth unlocks power. And the truth is this: you are not ordinary. You were never meant to live small, to shrink in the presence of darkness, to bow under the weight of adversity. You were designed to walk in dominion, to command the atmosphere, to break chains, to shift realities with your very presence. God has been speaking to you all along, in the quiet whispers of your spirit, in the storms that tested your faith, in the moments you thought you were alone but felt something pulling you forward. He has been calling you to step into your identity, to stop questioning, to stop doubting, and to start walking in the fullness of who you were created to be. This is not the time to remain asleep. This is not the time to hesitate. The enemy has already declared war on you. The question is, will you fight back? Will you rise? Will you activate the power that has been waiting inside you all along? The time has come. You were not meant to live in fear. You were not meant to live in doubt. You were meant to reign, to rise, to take your rightful place in the kingdom of light. This is your awakening call. Will you answer it? The power within you has always been there. What if I told you that the power you seek is already inside you? That you have never been waiting on God, but He has been waiting on you? That the strength, the authority, the divine fire you long for has been placed within you since the beginning of time? The greatest deception ever orchestrated against you was not physical oppression, not loss, not suffering. It was the lie that you are powerless. Because the moment you believe that lie, you surrender your throne, you silence your voice. You live beneath your true nature. Think about it. When a lion is raised among sheep, does it cease to be a lion? No, it simply forgets how to roar. It forgets the strength in its bones, the might in its stride, the authority in its presence. It walks timidly, believing itself to be like those around it. Until one day something awakens within, a memory, a whisper of truth, a moment where instinct breaks through deception and the lion roars once more. And in that moment, everything changes. The sheep do not recognize him as their own. They recoil, they fear, they scatter, because the lion was never one of them to begin with. This is your story. You have been conditioned by this world to think small, to live in limitation, to question your own authority. But what if you were never meant to blend in? What if the reason you have always felt different, the reason you do not belong, the reason you have been misunderstood, opposed, and rejected is because you were always something more? The chosen ones are never meant to fit in. They are meant to stand out, to lead, to rise. The enemy does not fear those who are powerless. He does not waste time attacking those who have no potential. His greatest fear is a chosen one who wakes up, a chosen one who recognizes the divine fire within, a chosen one who refuses to stay asleep. Because the moment you realize who you truly are, you become unstoppable. You become a force that cannot be contained. You become a warrior in the kingdom of light, and darkness trembles at your awakening. God has already placed His authority in you. He has already anointed you with power. He has already given you everything you need to break through every stronghold, every obstacle, every attack that comes against you. But power that is never used is power that is wasted. A sword that is never drawn is no different from a piece of metal. A A crown that is never worn holds no value. A voice that is never raised carries no influence. So ask yourself, have you been living in your true power, or have you been walking as if you are powerless? Have you been embracing your identity, or have you been shrinking to make others comfortable? Have you been standing in your authority, or have you been waiting for permission to step into what was already given to you? There is no more waiting. The time is now. The power has been within you all along. The only question is, will you use it? Why the world fears your awakening. The world does not reject you because you are weak. It rejects you because it fears what you will become. The system was never designed to accommodate you. It was designed to suppress you, to make you doubt, to make you question, to make you feel like an outcast so that you never fully step into your identity. Look at history. Every great leader, every revolutionary thinker, every chosen one who carried a divine mission faced resistance. Why? Because when light enters a room, darkness has no place to hide. You are not a threat because of what you do. You are a threat because of what you carry. You are a mirror that exposes the illusions of this world. You are a voice that disrupts the lies. You are a presence that unsettles the forces of darkness. Do you understand why you have faced so much opposition? Why things have seemed harder for you than for others? Why betrayal, isolation, and attacks have followed you everywhere? It is not because you are cursed. It is because you are powerful. The world fears those who refuse to be controlled. The system is terrified of those who see through the deception. The enemy cannot allow a chosen one to rise unchecked. And so, from the moment your light began to shine, the resistance began. This is why people have misunderstood you. This is why you have been isolated. This is why doors have closed in your face, because you were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to follow the crowd. You were born to lead, and leaders always stand alone before they are recognized. The moment you embrace your power, the world will react. Some will fear you, some will fight you, some will try to silence you. But the truth remains unchanged. No opposition, no attack, no scheme of darkness can stop a chosen one who has stepped into their divine calling. So stop apologizing for your light. Stop shrinking to fit into places that were never meant for you. Stop allowing fear to dictate your path. The world fears your awakening because it knows, when you rise, everything changes. The system trembles, the illusions break, and the enemy loses his hold. The only question left is, will you rise, or will you let fear keep you hidden? Will you step into your power, or will you continue to live as if you are just another soul, when in truth, you are something far greater? The world has already made its move. Now it's your turn. The first step to activation, mastering your mind. The greatest battlefield is not in the physical world, it is in your mind. Before the enemy attacks your body, your circumstances, or your finances, he attacks your thoughts. He plants seeds of doubt, fear, insecurity, and weakness, because he knows that if he can control your mind, he can control your reality. He doesn't need to bind your hands if he can bind your mind. He doesn't need to take away your resources if he can make you believe you are powerless without them. He doesn't need to stop your destiny if he can convince you that you don't have one. What you think about yourself is either the weapon that will destroy you or the force that will liberate you. If you believe you are weak, you will live as if you are weak. If you believe you are not worthy of power, you will never activate it. If you believe you are just another person with no authority, you will never command the spiritual realm. This is why the chosen ones must master their minds. Because a mind that is enslaved to fear, doubt, or deception will never walk in true power. The world has programmed you to think small, to fear failure, to doubt yourself. Every system in this world, from education to entertainment to social norms, was designed to suppress your divine nature. You were conditioned to conform, to believe in limitations, to accept weakness as normal. But who told you that you were weak? Who made you believe that you were just another person? Who convinced you that you are anything less than powerful? The first step to activation is breaking these false beliefs and replacing them with divine truth. The Bible says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind," Romans 12:2. Transformation does not begin with external actions, it begins in the mind. Every chosen one must unlearn the lies of this world and realign their thinking with the reality of who they are. You are not meant to live as a slave to fear. You are not designed to walk in insecurity. You were created in the image of the Most High, filled with His Spirit, called by His name. Do you know why the enemy fights so hard to keep you distracted? Because the moment you shift your mind, you shift your life. The moment you start thinking as a conqueror instead of a victim, your reality changes. The moment you recognize that you are already victorious, you start walking in dominion. You were never meant to beg for power, you were meant to command it. Master your mind and you master your destiny. Take control of your thoughts and you take control of your power. The battle is won or lost in the mind first. The enemy has spent years trying to weaken you through deception. Now it's time to reverse the process. It's time to renew your mind with truth. It's time to think, act, and move like the warrior you were always meant to be. The second step to activation, the power of prayer and declaration. Prayer is not a ritual. It is not a routine. It is not just words spoken into the air. Prayer is the most powerful weapon a chosen one can wield. It is the force that shakes the heavens, breaks strongholds, and calls divine authority into action. Every great movement of God was birthed through prayer. Every miraculous intervention was set into motion by the power of prayer. Prayer is not a religious duty, it is a supernatural act of war. Enemy fears a believer who prays with authority. A prayerless believer is a powerless believer. A silent chosen one is an ineffective chosen one. When you do not pray, you allow the enemy to operate unchecked in your life. You leave doors open, you leave battles unwon, you leave your power dormant. But when you pray, when you declare, when you command, when you align your words with heaven, you shift realities. God spoke the universe into existence. His words created light, land, and life, and He has given you the same ability to speak things into existence. The Bible says, life and death are in the power of the tongue, Proverbs 18:21. Do you understand what that means? Your words are not just sounds, they are creative forces, they shape your destiny, they build your future, they either bind you or set you free. Many chosen ones pray, but they pray small prayers. They pray with doubt. They pray hoping something will happen instead of declaring it with certainty. But when Jesus prayed, He did not beg, He commanded. He did not say, God, I hope this works. He said, Lazarus, come forth. He said, peace, be still. He said, be healed. That is the kind of authority you have been given. Your prayers should not be weak whispers of desperation. They should be declarations of dominion. When you pray, you are not just speaking words, you are activating spiritual law, you are summoning the armies of heaven, you are breaking demonic assignments, you are stepping into your God-given power. Speak life over yourself, declare victory over your battles, command obstacles to move. Do not wait for permission, take authority now. When you truly understand the power of prayer, you will never be the same. You will move differently, speak differently, and live differently. Because a chosen one who prays with authority is unstoppable. The third step to activation, obedience, unlocks supernatural power. Power does not fall from the sky, it follows obedience. Many chosen ones are waiting for God to send them power, not realizing that power is released when they move. Faith is not just belief, it is action. If you want to see miracles, if you want to experience supernatural power, if you want to walk in divine authority, then you must be willing to step out in obedience even when it does not make sense. Look at every major act of divine intervention in the Bible. Moses did not see the Red Sea part before he lifted his staff, he had to obey first. Peter did not walk on water before he stepped out of the boat, he had to obey first. The walls of Jericho did not fall before Israel marched around them, they had to obey first. Miracles do not happen in hesitation. Power is not released in doubt. Authority is not activated in fear. It is in the act of obedience that the supernatural is unlocked. Many chosen ones are waiting for God to give them a sign, for Him to confirm their strength before they step into their calling. But God does not operate on human logic. He does not always show you the full plan before requiring action. If you are waiting for everything to make sense, you will never move. If you are waiting for the perfect moment, you will never act. What has God placed in your spirit that you have been afraid to do? What instruction has he given you that you have hesitated to follow? What vision has he shown you that you have been delaying? The power you seek is on the other side of your obedience. The anointing you desire is waiting for you to take the first step. The breakthrough you have been praying for is already set in motion, but it requires you to act. Do you know why so many chosen ones never reach their full potential? Because they hesitate, they second-guess themselves. They wait for the fear to disappear instead of moving despite it. But fear is not a reason to stop. It is confirmation that you are on the edge of something great. The enemy does not attack those who are no threat. If you feel resistance, if you feel pressure, if you feel opposition, it is because you are stepping into power. God has already spoken. The command has already been given. The only question is, will you obey? Will you step into the unknown, trusting that God has already prepared the way? Will you act even when fear whispers that you are not ready? Will you move forward even when the enemy tries to convince you that you are not enough? This is the moment. This is the decision. Obedience is not optional for the chosen ones. It is the key that unlocks the supernatural. If you want to walk in power, then step out in faith. Move, act, obey, and watch as heaven backs you up. The weapons of the chosen ones, understanding spiritual warfare. The battle you face is not of this world. It is not against people, not against systems, not against circumstances. It is against spiritual forces that have worked for generations to keep you blind to your power. You are not just someone going through struggles. You are a warrior on a battlefield that existed long before you were born. And in war, those who refuse to fight are the first to be taken down. You must understand this. Your enemy is relentless. He does not take breaks, does not rest, does not wait for you to be strong before he attacks. He moves in deception, in confusion, in distractions, keeping you occupied with earthly matters so that you never engage in the real fight. But you are not sent here defenseless. You are given weapons, and these weapons are not of this world. They are spiritual, and when used correctly, they dismantle strongholds, break curses, and shift realities. The first weapon is prayer. Prayer is not a passive act. It is the power that moves heaven. It is your connection to divine authority, the command center of the kingdom of light. A warrior who does not pray is like a soldier who refuses to draw his sword. When you pray, you are not just speaking, you are summoning angelic reinforcements, declaring war against darkness, tearing down demonic assignments. Every time you engage in prayer, the enemy trembles because he knows a praying chosen one cannot be stopped. The second weapon is the Word of God. This is not just a book, it is a sword. It cuts through deception, shatters illusions, and exposes the lies of the enemy. When Jesus was tempted in the wilderness, he did not argue, he did not negotiate. He simply declared, "It is written." The enemy cannot withstand the truth of the word. The more you fill yourself with it, the stronger your spirit becomes. The sharper your discernment, the more unshakable your authority. A chosen one without the word is like a warrior without a weapon, easily deceived, easily defeated. The third weapon is fasting. Fasting weakens the flesh and strengthens the spirit. It sharpens your discernment, increases your spiritual authority, and breaks chains that prayer alone may not break. When Jesus' disciples struggled to cast out a demon, he revealed the secret. This kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. Fasting is not just an act of discipline, it is an act of war. It disconnects you from earthly limitations and aligns you with supernatural power. The fourth weapon is your voice. The enemy thrives in silence. He wants you to stay quiet, to suppress your authority, to speak only when it is safe. But chosen ones were not called to whisper, they were called to declare. Your voice carries power. It breaks atmospheres. It releases life. When you speak in faith, when you declare your authority, when you command things to shift, the spiritual realm responds. Now ask yourself, are you using your weapons, or are you walking unarmed in a war? The enemy is not afraid of chosen ones who know their power but refuse to use it. He is terrified of those who pick up their weapons and engage in battle. The time for passive faith is over. The war has already begun. Will you fight, or will you let the enemy move unchecked in your life? Why the enemy fears your awakening. You have spent much of your life wondering why things have been so difficult, why doors have closed, why people have turned against you, why the battles have been relentless. But have you ever considered that these attacks are not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous? The enemy does not waste his energy on those who have no potential. He fears you because he knows what will happen when you finally wake up. From the moment you were born, there was a plan to keep you asleep, to keep you unaware of who you truly are, to keep you busy with distractions, consumed by self-doubt, tangled in unnecessary battles, so that you never realize the full force of what you carry. The enemy knew who you were before you did. He saw your potential long before you did. He recognized the fire within you, and his greatest fear has always been the day you step into it fully. This is why your life has been different. This is why you have always felt like an outcast, misunderstood, set apart. The world senses what is inside you, even when you do not. You are not meant to fit in. You are meant to disrupt. You are meant to shift atmospheres. You are meant to bring light where there is darkness. And darkness does not welcome light, it fights it. Every spiritual attack, every challenge, every hardship you have endured was designed to do one thing: break you before you awaken. To keep you doubting, delaying, hesitating, questioning yourself. Because the moment you recognize your true power, the enemy's grip is broken. The moment you stop walking in fear and start moving in authority, chains fall, strongholds crumble, demonic forces retreat. Do you understand now why your battle has been so intense? It is because your awakening threatens everything the enemy has built. Your presence alone shifts things. Your words alone break strongholds. Your existence alone is proof that the kingdom of darkness is losing. And this is why the attacks have come, why the resistance has been great, why the world has tried to convince you that you are less than what you are. But those days are over. The enemy fears you because he knows what you are capable of. The question is, do you? Fear is the last chain holding you back. Fear is the invisible prison that keeps chosen ones from stepping into their destiny. It whispers lies, magnifies doubt, keeps you second-guessing yourself until you willingly surrender the power that was already yours. Fear is the enemy's last stronghold over your life. It is his last line of defense. Because once you break through it, there is nothing left to stop you. The greatest warriors in history did not move because they had no fear, they moved despite it. David did not wait for fear to leave before facing Goliath. He moved forward while fear stood beside him, daring him to back down. Peter did not wait for the storm to calm before stepping out of the boat. He stepped onto the waves while the storm was still raging. Fear does not disappear before action. It breaks in the moment of obedience. The enemy wants you to wait. Wait until you feel ready. Wait until the fear goes away. Wait until you are sure of the outcome. But waiting is a trap. Fear will never leave on its own. It must be confronted. And the only way to defeat fear is to move forward despite it. What have you been waiting to do? What has fear convinced you to delay? What calling have you put on hold because you are waiting to feel ready? There is no more waiting. You will not wake up one day suddenly fearless. The chosen ones who change the world are not those who feel no fear, but those who refuse to let fear dictate their actions. Fear is a liar. It is a chain, an illusion, a voice that has kept you small for too long. But today that chain is breaking. Today you step into your power not because fear is absent, but because you have chosen faith over fear, courage over comfort, destiny over hesitation. The time has come. No more fear, no more waiting, no more shrinking. The enemy has used fear to hold you back for too long, but that season is over. Your next level is waiting on the other side of fear. The question is, will you break the chain or will you let it keep you bound? You have the power. The decision is yours. Move now and watch fear lose its grip forever. The time to activate your power is now. There is no more time to wait. The world is shifting, the battle is intensifying, and the enemy is not hesitating. The forces of darkness are moving, but too many chosen ones are still sitting on the sidelines, waiting for a sign, waiting for permission, waiting for the fear to leave before they act. But let me tell you something, waiting is a deception. Delay is a weapon the enemy uses to keep you in chains. Every moment you hesitate, every day you hold back, Every time you let fear whisper, "Not yet," you are allowing the enemy to gain ground. The time to activate your power is not tomorrow, not next year, not when you feel ready. It is now. The truth is, you will never feel completely ready. You will never have all the answers. You will never reach a point where fear is completely absent. But that is not an excuse to wait. The greatest chosen ones in history stepped forward before they felt ready. They walked in faith before they had all the details. They moved when the world told them to stop, when fear tried to paralyze them, when every voice around them said it was impossible. Because power is not given to the passive, it is given to the bold. It is given to those who act, those who trust, those who refuse to be controlled by doubt. How long have you been waiting? How long have you been delaying the call on your life? How many times has God stirred something in your spirit, only for you to push it aside, waiting for a better time, a safer time, a more convenient time? Let me tell you the truth, there will never be a perfect time. The enemy will make sure of that. If you keep waiting for circumstances to align, you will wait your entire life and never step into your destiny. Moses was not ready when God called him. He argued, he doubted, he tried to escape his assignment. But God did not wait for him to feel ready, he commanded him to move. Peter was not ready when he stepped out onto the water. The waves were high, the wind was strong, fear was screaming at him to stay in the boat. But the moment he took that first step, power was released. What does this tell you? That power is not something you wait for, it is something you step into. You do not need to wait for the fear to leave, move despite it. You do not need to wait for everything to make sense, trust even when it doesn't. You do not need to wait for someone to validate you, God already has. The enemy fears the moment you realize that nothing is actually stopping you except your own hesitation. Because the second you decide to move, the chains break, the strongholds shatter, the atmosphere shifts. The power has already been given to you. The authority is already within you. The anointing has already been placed on your life. You are not waiting on God, God is waiting on you. So what will you do? Will you continue to let fear, doubt, and hesitation rob you of your destiny? Or will you rise, take your place, and walk in the fullness of what you were created to be? This is your moment. The time is now. There are no more excuses. There is no more delay. You were not meant to live in hesitation. You were meant to walk in power. You were not meant to bow to fear. You were meant to crush it. The kingdom is calling. The battle is raging. The world is waiting. The only question left is, will you activate your power, or will you let another day pass you by? Will you rise? Now everything has been laid before you. The truth has been revealed. The power within you has been awakened. You are no longer in the dark about who you are. You are no longer deceived into thinking you are powerless. You are no longer a prisoner of fear, hesitation, or doubt. You now know the truth, and the truth has set you free. But knowledge alone is not enough. Revelation alone is not enough. Power without action is wasted. Strength without movement is useless. The choice is now yours. Will you rise? This moment is a turning point. Either you continue as you were before, ignoring the fire that has been ignited within you, or you step into your divine assignment with boldness. Either you let fear dictate your path, or you break free and walk in authority. Either you remain asleep, letting the enemy steal what is rightfully yours, or you rise and take it back. There is no middle ground. There is no waiting for someday. You are either moving forward or falling behind. Every chosen one must make this decision. Every great warrior of light had to face this moment. The moment when fear whispers, stay where you are. The moment when doubt tells you, you are not ready. The moment when hesitation tries to chain you down, keeping you trapped in a cycle of almost stepping out, but never fully doing it. But warriors are not defined by their comfort. They are defined by their courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. It is action despite fear. You have been called, you have been chosen, you have been set apart for a time such as this. The world is not the same when chosen ones rise. Everything shifts when those who carry divine power awaken. The enemy trembles when even one chosen one steps into their full potential. So imagine what happens when you rise. Imagine what happens when you refuse to be held back any longer. Imagine what happens when you say, enough is enough, I will not sit on my power. I will not stay silent. I will not shrink to make others comfortable. I will take my place. I will rise. There is an army of chosen ones across the world. Some have already awakened. Some are still asleep. But when they come together, when they stand in unity, when they move with divine purpose, the world will see a shift unlike anything it has ever seen. Darkness will flee, chains will break. The kingdom will advance with unstoppable force. And you, yes, you are part of this movement. Your power is needed. Your voice is needed. Your presence is needed. The enemy has tried everything to stop you, but he has failed. You are still here. You are still standing. You are still chosen. Now it is up to you. The question is not whether you can rise. The question is, will you? The time of waiting is over. The moment of hesitation has passed. The only thing left to do is move, step forward, take action, walk in the authority that has always been yours. So, chosen one, I ask you one final time, will you rise?